analysis showed that although most of you are aware that processed foods contain a large amount of sugar, many of you still eat more than the recommended amount of sugar per day. And then artificial sweeteners are actually worse for you than regular sugar. So although you should not be eating a large amount of sugar, you should also not be replacing it with foods that contain artificial sweeteners. Another question on my survey showed that some of you purchase foods that are sugar-free. So I just wanted to add a brief note about that. When it says sugar-free, that doesn't mean that there is simply no sugar in it. It means that they add chemicals and artificial sweeteners to that in place of sugar. So most of those foods are still processed and they are still not healthy foods. Many of you admitted that you eat more than the recommended daily amount of sugar. However, that is typical of most Americans. Many people eat significantly more than the recommended amount of sugar. The recommended amount of sugar for children is 3 to 4 teaspoons a day. For women, it's approximately 5 teaspoons per day, and for men, it is 8 to 9 teaspoons per day. The average consumption for the typical American is 34 teaspoons in a day, which is approximately this much sugar per day. One of the biggest culprits for this is sugary drinks, such as sodas, Powerades, anything like that. Sweet tea is another big one. Yeah. Even juices, although they come from fruit which has natural sugars in it, many of them have added sugars. And even the ones that don't have added sugars still have a lot of sugar. Even if it's natural sugar, that still counts towards your daily amount because it's still sugar, even though it's not added sugar, even though it's still natural sugars, you should only have a certain amount of sugar in a day, so it's fine in moderation. So in 1700, the average amount of sugar intake was 4 pounds in a year. In 1800, it went up to 18 pounds per year. This is per person. In 1900, it was up to 90 pounds per year. And the latest statistic pulled from 2009 was 180 pounds in a year for each average person, which equals about a half a pound per day. Many people know about common impacts that sugar has on your body. Some of the big ones obviously would be some of the physical ones, such as weight gain. It spikes your blood sugar. It can cause diseases such as cancer and diabetes. Some of the less known ones are the ones that I want to focus on today. What many people don't realize is that sugar is a bigger culprit than fat. Many people try to avoid fats, thinking that that is causing weight gain. However, they have discovered that sugar is the main problem, and sugar will cause you to store more fat and gain more weight. Some of the less known effects are some of the mental effects that sugar can cause, which is impaired memory and learning. It actually deteriorates your focus. So for those of you that are in school or work, you can have trouble focusing. Any new information that you're trying to process and learn, your body will not retain. It can cause depression and anxiety. The more sugar you eat, the worse your depression and anxiety will get because your brain cannot handle that amount of sugar. It can also cause extreme fatigue. When you eat sugar, it raises your blood sugar, so you get essentially a high for a short period of time, and then you crash, and it makes you very tired. And it can also make you very irritable. Another fun fact about sugar is it is 8 times as addicting as cocaine. So the more sugar you eat, the more sugar you will continue to eat because your body craves it. So once you start eating sugar, your body will continue to crave it, you'll keep eating more, and it essentially creates a cycle. Some alternatives that are natural that you can use in place of sugar are stevia and honey. However, they should also still be used in moderation. You can use stevia and honey as sweeteners in place of sugar. However, they still count towards your daily limit. So you can use them to sweeten things, but you should still try to stick to the recommended amount, and that does count towards your sugar, the teaspoons and grams per day. Even with natural fruits, anything like that that contains any natural sugars still counts. So you should still eat them. Those are the kinds of sugars that you want. You would rather eat natural fruit as opposed to processed refined sugars, but you should still try to minimize the amount that you take in per day. Also, flour spikes your blood sugar just as much as sugar does, sometimes even more, even the whole wheat flours. So that is another thing that you can try to stay away from. One thing that a lot of doctors are recommending right now is to cut out certain foods. So one of the main ones that they're recommending to essentially cut out is sugar. Another one that they're recommending to cut out is flour, and they're finding a lot of people have sensitivities such as gluten. So they're saying cut out grains, dairy, and sugar, and many people are seeing improvements with mental health as well as weight and many of the other side effects from sugar. So many people are aware that processed foods contain a lot of sugar, however, they still continue to eat more than the recommended daily amount per day. And then artificial sweeteners are still worse for you than sugar, and many people consume a lot more sugar just from drinking drinks such as sodas instead of sticking to waters. So that's a main way that you can cut out a lot of sugar, is to not have sugary drinks, just stick to water and milk.